Hey, Doc Steve here, and I've had two things happen in the last month which are kind of new and different given recent history, and I want to tell you about it. First of all, in the last month or so, I've had several shifts without a single COVID patient, which is great. It's like the first time that's happened in like 2 years. And secondly, within a month of not wearing a mask routinely outside, I got my first cold in 2 years. Well, now I'm not a big fan of anecdotal evidence, but I just gave you great anecdotal evidence that masks work in preventing respiratory viral infections. I know a lot of you folks out there believe in anecdotal evidence because anyone who gets worried about a side effect that's reported after somebody gets a vaccine, well, you guys believe in anecdotal evidence. And now you've got the evidence you've been waiting for to see that masks work for respiratory viruses. Hope you like it. As far as the first thing, I'm kind of hoping that the decrease in COVID I'm seeing in my practice is a sign that our community of immunity is finally getting to the stage where maybe we're not going to have like really bad bouts of COVID again. By the way, I like community of immunity better than herd immunity. For one, because we're not cows or wildebeests or elephants, but also because it's kind of got a rappy, kind of rhymey feel, kind of like our community of immunity says aloha to corona. I know, pretty lame, but still better than herd immunity. But even though COVID seems to be decreasing, misinformation is not. So I'm going to keep doing some videos for those who are interested. And today I want to talk about a video that was put out recently by the BMJ interviewing a woman who is partly in charge of testing at one of the sites that tested the Pfizer vaccine. And she was actually apparently fired for being a whistleblower to problems she saw in the testing at this one site for the Pfizer vaccine. Her name is Brooke Jackson, and she cited mainly 3 categories of problems in the testing of the vaccine. Now, I want to start by saying I'm not quibbling with her at all. It takes courage to be a whistleblower. It certainly looks like she was fired for being a whistleblower. She was only 2 weeks into the job, and maybe you can accumulate enough black marks on your record to get fired in 2 weeks, but it happened 6 hours after making the complaint, so it certainly looks like she got fired because of it, and I hope she's pursuing all the legal avenues she's got. But I want to talk more about the content. So let's take a look at the 3 categories of problems that Ms. Jackson found at the site for the testing. And the first one is a pretty generic thing. She said it was sloppy, disorganized. There were charting irregularities. She had pictures of used needles that had been disposed improperly, which is definitely a safety issue. Not a big concern about data integrity in the study itself, but a lot of evidence that maybe the staff was not trained well or they were understaffed. In other words, signs that maybe things were rushed, but not a whole lot of evidence of anything that would affect the outcome of the study. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it. So the second issue that Ms. Jackson pointed out at this site with the early testing of the vaccine is that serious adverse events were not getting reported promptly to the FDA. Now, the FDA required that any serious adverse events get reported within 24 hours, and she pointed out that some were not getting reported for up to 3 days and sometimes even longer. Now, no evidence that they weren't getting reported at all, but there were significant delays. And this is something that's been made a lot of online because people have come out saying, well, somebody had a stroke from the vaccine and they didn't report it. But that's not really what this is. First of all, it eventually did get reported. There was just a delay. And second of all, people doing the study don't know which people had the placebo and which people had the vaccine. So this is not a known delay in reporting a serious side effect of the vaccine. I didn't expect to be encouraged by this video, but oddly, I was encouraged to find out that the FDA was requiring these serious side effects to be reported early. Now, there's no reason that they have to be reported early in terms of the final outcome of the study, but the only reason for asking for severe adverse event data early on is because the investigators were being super careful to try and pick up serious side effects of the vaccine early. Let me give an example to explain what I'm talking about. Okay, there's 40,000 people in the Pfizer study. Okay, the incidence of stroke in a group, 40,000 Americans randomly selected, about every month there should be 34 strokes in that group. Now, if they had, after a month of the study, 60 strokes, they'd say, oh, we got to uncover this and take a look at it. And if they then found that 45 strokes were in the vaccine group and 15 were in the placebo group, they would have stopped the study and said, look, the vaccine looks like it causes stroke at a significant incidence. We got to start from square one. So the only reason for that data needing to be reported early was a safety issue with the study, nothing to do with the data outcome at the end. So the third issue is the only one that has any potential for changing the outcome of the study, and that is a potential unblinding on the investigator side of some of the patients. Now, you might remember from some of my other videos, I talk about blinding. Double-blinded studies are the best. That's where both the investigator and the patients don't know who got the placebo and who got the vaccine. But this is a case where possibly for some patients, The investigator might have been unblind. And this happened in a couple of ways. The charts had been mislabeled so that the charts had both the patient's name and whether they got the vaccine or placebo. And also the boxes that the injections came in were mislabeled so that they had patient names on them. And these are potential unblindings. I have to be honest, I don't know the details of how things were done, so I'm not sure there was actual unblinding at the investigator level. Probably if there was any, it was more at the data collection level. But even if there was unblinding at the data collection or the investigator level, I'm not sure that that would make any difference in the outcome of this study. And I know you medical people are saying, what is he talking about? And let me explain. Okay, as you medical people know, and I'm going to explain to everybody else right now, blinding in studies is there to remove the subjective judgment aspect of data collection. And in a study like this, where all you're doing is collecting the adverse events that happened after a placebo or a vaccine, there's not a lot of subjectivity with that. Hey, it looks like patient 11962 had a heart attack about a week after getting his injection. You know, I'm not sure that's a T there. It looks more like a little smudge. I think he meant to write hear attack. There's no such thing as a hear attack. Well, yeah, but what if he had lost his hearing and he thought the medical jargon for hearing loss was hear attack? He would have written hear attack. That's just kind of stupid. I think we need to call this one hearing loss. Heart attack. Hear attack. You can be a bit of an idiot sometimes. You can be a bit of a moron yourself. Brainless Neanderthal. Ignorant plebeian. You're nothing but a quack. Takes one to know one, you knock on wood numbskull. Quack, 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 quack. Dr. Dum Dum strikes again. That is a self-deprecating nickname I use for myself to put patients at ease in the ER, and only I am allowed to call myself that. Actually, I am you. Oh yeah, right. You got me. Whatever. So despite my example, probably not a lot of subjectivity in just collecting reported side effects of the vaccine or the placebo. So with respect to this concern, not terribly likely that it was even unblinded. If it was, not terribly likely that there was much subjectivity in the results anyway. Even if there was, this is one site out of 131 sites. It's pretty darn unlikely that there's going to be enough data from that to change the result. And the other part of this we don't know is we don't know the rest of the story about the FDA. They could have excluded all the early patients from this site. We don't really know. They could have actually done a subgroup analysis to see if anything was awry. So for my part, I was actually encouraged about the vaccine testing from this. And I'll tell you why. First of all, just the fact that they were looking for serious adverse events rapidly getting reported means that they were super careful about watching for serious side effects. And that was a surprise to me. Secondly, I didn't even know that this was being all tested at an independent site. As a doctor, I'm always a little skeptical when drug companies tell me about something that they've been testing because I'm always a little bit concerned about bias. But the fact that they farmed out the testing of this to 131 independent companies was very, very reassuring. So bottom line for this video is there's definitely evidence that the process was rushed and also that there was some definite staffing issues at this one site. But I want to point out to you that being rushed was actually the plan. I expect to see signs of the process being rushed. There's a lot I don't agree with how President Trump handled the pandemic, but lighting a fire under business and governmental agencies to get a vaccine quick was really the smartest thing he could have possibly done at the time, and I applaud him for it. So I expect to see signs of being rushed. The question is not whether it was rushed, but whether it was rushed so much to change the outcome so we got a wrong answer with a study. And there's no evidence from this video that that happened. So if you like the video, check out my other ones on Doc Steve, all one word, on YouTube, or you can check me out on Instagram at DocSteve16. But until next time, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.